Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am Chris for AutoTalk.com. Let's take a look at the all-new 2015 Toyota Camry. For 2015, the Camry has been completely revised on the outside to give its sedan a look and feel that is much more modern and much more fresh. Sharper lines, deeper body creases, a larger grille, and a smoother profile make this new Camry look sleeker, faster, and much more handsome than the old car. Dimensionally, the car is almost identical to the outgoing model, and underneath the hood you'll still find the same 3.5-liter V6, making 268 horsepower and 248 pound-feet of torque. It would be nice to see a boost since this is the same power the car had in 2006, but you can only ask for so much. Still, the Toyota is nice on the outside, but let's take a look on the inside and see how this car holds up.
Hey there, boys and girls. Christian Mo here for AutoTalk.com, and today we're in something that's going to be very exciting to a lot of you. This is the all-new, basically from front to rear, inside and out, 2015 Toyota Camry. Toyota's making a big deal about this car, and they have some good reasons to. So, for starters, the Camry has been the best-selling car in America for more than a decade, and the old one was sort of feeling a little bit old, and the competition was catching it. So Toyota's making a big to-do about everything that they've changed to make this car different. And in total, they say there's more than 2,000 changes. On the outside, the only thing that's the same is the roof. And on the inside, about the only thing I can see that's the same is this emblem here in the middle of the steering wheel. So let's go ahead and take a look at everything we have here. For starters, I am in the highest level XLE trim you can get. And the equipment level in here is nuts. So I'm going to break out the handy dandy window sticker here to make sure I don't actually forget anything. And all of this is standard. So, of course, I've got all of the standard Toyota safety stuff with their Star Safety System. But here on the inside, Entune Premium Audio with Nav, apps, 7-inch screen, leather trimmed and heated front seats with with leather steering wheel. I've got audio controls, Bluetooth controls, all that sort of stuff on here. 8-way power seat here, 4-way power seat there. Backup camera. I've got a nice little LCD here in my center dash. Tire pressure monitoring system, but whatever, that's required by law now. Smart key with push button start. There is a wireless phone charging system here in this, like you get in the Lexus, the ES and the GS. And there is dual zone climate control and 12-volt power outlets. Now again, that's all standard. The only thing that they've added to this car is I have an upgraded stereo, so I have JBL nicer speakers instead of the normal speakers, but the entire head unit stays exactly the same. I've got a tech package, which is just some safety gear. I've got lane departure warning, adaptive cruise control, and then like a crash detection system. And then my Safety Connect system, SOS, so if you get in a crash or need some roadside assistance or whatever, you can hit that. Those are the only real things they've added, option-wise, to the interior of this thing. I do have a rear spoiler, I do have some rubber mats, but like, that's not in the normal thing. And all this together is $35,649. So that's kind of a lot of money, but you do get so much stuff, and it looks and feels so good. The seats feel great. Leather on the steering wheel feels awesome. It feels very German. I love this dash. It's got this beautiful silver stitching that runs all the way across it. There's a piece of plastic, but it looks like wood. That runs right through the middle here. It's this nice dark mahogany color. All the buttons on the radio, they're big, they're easy to see, they're easy to read. They're separated by a nice little piece of chrome metal. There's this nice metallic trim that runs along the outside edge of that center console. Here on the door, I've got this two-tone look with what feels like leather and this nice contrast stitching. And I've got this really nice, it's plastic, but it feels really sturdy. And then there's more metal trim. It just looks fantastic in here. The old Camry looked kind of boring. This one doesn't look insanely exciting, but it does look much more attractive and much nicer, much more upscale. It's sort of better in line with what a lot of the Korean competitors are doing, with what a lot of the Japanese competitors are doing. Like Nissan with its Ultimate has that great interior. This just looks and feels great. I love the ergonomics. Shifters in just the right spot. All the buttons are easy to reach. I have one big knob for volume, one big knob for tuning the stereo, huge knobs for, climate control. And then, of course, you have lots of cubby. I've got a bottle pocket, 2 cup holders, storage, big storage, sunglass holder. Again, it's all within easy reach. This is what interiors should be. And I really like sitting in here. There are a couple of nice sporty touches. So besides the leather wheel, the gauges behind the thing, got this nice metallic blue gauge with white lettering that show up really great at night, really crisp and easy to see. The stereo sounds pretty good. It's not the best thing in the world, but as you may know if you watch a lot of these videos, I am kind of picky when it comes to stereos. So I'd give this a solid 7 out of 10 for sound quality, which is a little bit better than what I'd give something like the Ultimate or the Accord with their upgraded stereos. They're more of a 6, but it's still not, an 8, a 9. It's not a really, really good stereo, but it still sounds nice. Nice big sunroof. Again, I like the seats, I like the armrests, I like the way everything's positioned. It's just very nice and easy to get a real good grip on everything, and it all just sort of feels where it needs to be. But let's stop talking about the inside of it, and let's go for a drive in it. Now, with the new redesign, Toyota's promising a lot of things. They're promising this is the best looking Camry ever, this is the nicest inside, and it's the best to drive. Now, part of that best to drive part comes from all of the changes they've made underneath the sheet metal. So let's skip the interior, let's skip the exterior, and let's go right down to the meat of the engineering. Part of what they've done to make this car handle better is they've stiffened the chassis up a lot. There's extra seam welds, there's extra spot welds. They've done everything they can to just make everything a little stiffer and a little tighter, and with that, you can then refine the suspension even better. And so the suspension has been tuned up and stiffened a bit, and the car does exhibit a lot less lean than some of the older models, and they've been able to do it without too much sacrifice to ride quality. So they've been able to hit that nice middle ground where the car is semi-fun to drive as far as the suspension is concerned, and then you don't get a lot of harshness coming through the chassis when you hit bumps and things. It's still not the tightest handling thing. I think I still prefer the Passats over this as far as suspension setup goes, but it is really good. There is a tighter handling model than this. So again, this is the XLE. This is like the luxury edition. Toyota is now selling an XSE, which has big chunky 18-inch alloy wheels and apparently some nicer rubber on it. And it's supposed to have even better suspension tuning. So if you're looking for a sporty car, that's the one to take. But I'm coming through one of my favorite roads now. Now the speed limit is 55, but usually it's 55 good luck. And depending on what you're in, it's not a thing you can do. So most cars of this class, this is probably about a 50 mile an hour road and not a 55. But I'm still hanging in there 55, almost 60 miles an hour through a lot of these turns. So the car is handling better than I think it should. If there's a weak point in the handling, it's steering feel and tire choice. So the car stays fairly flat and stable, but at not really high speeds, the front end wants to plow a lot. And from the best I can tell, it's because of these Turanza all-weather tires they have on here. They're more catered for fuel economy, comfort, quietness than they are for outright performance. So the tires will give up before the rest of the car will. As for steering feel is not really there, but it's just a problem I'm having to get used to in modern cars. But weighting is surprisingly good. It's actually a lot heavier than I ever expected it to be. I do wonder if that's going to cause them a few issues with some returning customers, especially the older crowd. It doesn't take muscles to turn this thing, but the steering is really heavy for being a Camry, and I just enjoy turning this wheel. Weight actually also builds up a lot better than you expect. When you plow into a corner a bit, like the faster you go, the more that weight builds up, and it feels really progressive and really linear, which is not something I got too much out of the old car. So I am really digging that. Brakes still use some work, sadly. They stop well, but the pedal's kind of squishy, and so you push, and you have to just like keep pushing like you're stepping deep into a big bowl of pudding. And the car will come to a really quick halt once you really commit and stand on that pedal, but I would prefer a tighter pedal feel on the brakes. So that's how it sort of feels to drive and fling around, but what about some of the other stuff? So again, Toyota says this thing is all new. It's the quietest Camry ever. I will believe them. I know you can't really hear because of the external mic that I'm using, but it is really quiet in here. Like, not quite Lexus quiet, but pretty close. Like, every year, it seems Toyotas get closer and closer to their luxury Lexus counterparts in levels of refinement and quality. Because it is, like, you're just riding along, and tire noise is really hushed. Wind noise is really hushed. It gets a little louder if you open up the sunroof, but otherwise, like, it's a really nice, serene place to be. It helps the stereo as well. With it being so quiet in here, I was able to get the stereo tuned just right to make it sound even better than it normally does. So I appreciate that, but it's just sort of weird to be in what is just a standard mid-size car that has the cabin serenity of like a luxury machine. So kudos to Toyota for making that happen. We already talked about how much I like the interior, and when you're going on trips, you sort of start to appreciate it more. I took it on not a really long drive, but it was about a 70-mile jaunt. And having everything be so close within reach just sort of became a really nice thing to have. I loved cup holder is perfectly placed, shifter is perfectly placed, the armrests are perfect. I got a great seating position. It's really nice. If there's a problem I have with the redesign in general, it's probably the outside. So Toyota calls this the most dynamic and exciting Camry that's ever been designed. And in a way, that's true. This, I think, looks way more interesting than the old Camry does. But I also think it looks a whole lot like a Chrysler 200, and that sort of bothers me, because the 200 is a very handsome car, but I know that Toyota can do some pretty interesting designs, and I wish they would have, I don't want to say ripped off the Chrysler, because obviously they didn't, but I wish it was a little more original. But I still like the shape, I like the creases, I really enjoy the hood. There's several sort of lines through the hood that create some nice little deep creases that looks like really good for airflow, and I like the way that looks. I like the new headlights, I like the weird kink in them, but overall that's probably my least favorite part. But that's good news, because when you're looking to buy a car, you should pay attention to how it drives and how it feels to be inside of it. I know looks are important, but you spend most of your time inside the car, not outside of it. So you shouldn't spend all your time trying to make sure the guy who's stuck in traffic next to you has a nice view. So from that point of view, this thing is a definite winner. I understand 100% why this is the best-selling midsize sedan in America, and it's because it's just good. In basically every way, it is just a good car. It's good to be in, it's good to drive, it's good to look at. Fuel economy is so-so in this model. I have the V6, so that's 268 horsepower V6. I'm getting just under 25 miles to the gallon. Let's see what it's reporting right this moment. Dun, dun, dun. So yeah, I'm getting 24.9 miles to the gallon. And according to the sticker, I should get 25 combined with 31 on the highway. So I'm right on the money, but in today's world where there are 40 mile per gallon cars everywhere and Toyota sells Priuses to get more than 50 miles to the gallon, I would like to see a little bit better, but there's still no argument with that power. You can stand on the pedal and you are away. 60 comes around in just under 6 seconds in what I've tested it. I've seen 5.8 a couple of times, so it's pretty quick. The transmission, six-speed auto, is a little sluggish. It feels like it's more tuned for commuter work than sport work, but it does have a choose-your-own gear mode. So you can select a ratio, have fun, but it will not hold a gear when you're in that mode, so that's a little disappointing. But again, this is more of a commuter car than a sports car. And that's actually where I have my qualms with this machine. Because I cannot deny it is a great car. Like, as a car, this vehicle that is supposed to move you and your friends and your family and your things places in relative comfort, quietly, efficiently, like, it is a great car. But it doesn't move me. And I don't know why. And the Camry never has. Now, I know a lot of people say Camrys are boring, blah, blah, blah. And sure, the rental fleet 2.5s and stuff, like with cloth interiors, they're a little they're a little boring. But I mean, this car genuinely isn't that boring. Like I said, it's nice enough to drive. I love the V6 engine. The new suspension work that they've done has paid off. Like I said, the interior is fantastic. It's fairly handsome to look at from the outside. But I just still can't get interested in it. and I don't know what that reason is. So I don't know if I'd buy one. I think the Passat's better to drive. I think the Altima's better to look at. The turbocharged engine you can get in the Optima is really nice. So it's like there is a thing about other cars that makes me want them more than this one. But this is the best overall package, and so I can't figure out why I don't want one. But there it is. That's a mystery for another day, I guess. But so again, we have the all-new front-to-rear 2015 Toyota Camry. This is the XLE model, V6, leather, lots of fancy gizmos and gadgets, safety features, a sunroof, and a price tag right at about $35,000. So it's a damn good car. I just don't want one. So, anyways, I'm Christian Moe. I've been here for AutoTalk.com. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for joining me on this little party and road trip. As always, feel free to like, subscribe, comment. If you want to see a full written review of this car, you can find one on AutoTalk.com. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I'll see you next week. Cheers.